right, tonight we are taking our next set of notes. Hopefully you have your foldable folded in half so it looks like this. We're taking Unit 3, Lesson 2 on slope. So the first thing we're going to do is write 2 sentences in our notebook. We are going to write down the definition. Slope is the change in y over the change in x. You hear some people say that it's the rise over the run. To rise over your run. It has to deal with the steepness of your graph. So slope explains the steepness of a graph. Alright, so there's a couple different ways that we can find slope, and we're going to talk about each of those today. The first one, and this is where we're going to use our foldable, the first way we can find the slope is from your graph. And that's just picking 2 points. In this case, our points are already there for us. And we're going to connect those 2 points by connecting our rise and our run. And then we're just going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4. My rise was 4. My run, 1, 2, is 2. So remember, slope is just your rise over your run. Or in this case, it was 4 over 2. And we always simplify 4 divided by 2. My slope would equal 2 for the first graph. So the first way we can find the slope, again, is from a graph. And we just draw a triangle connecting our rise to our run. Remember, if there aren't points given to you, they're just the ones that intersect perfectly. So there's another one down here. They're where they go through the corner perfectly. And then the second way that you can find the slope is by using the slope formula. Okay, so that's what we're going to use for number 2. So this is a long formula, so I'm going to close this for a minute and write it up here at the top. My slope formula is for any ordered pair x1, y1 and x2, y2. You just have to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's the formula we're going to use. So if we look back at our paper, number 2, find the slope of the line that passes through 5, 2, and 4, negative 1. This is giving you your x1, your y1, your x2, and your y2. So now that you have your 2 ordered pairs, you've labeled your 2 ordered pairs, you're going to just plug them into your formula. Formula, remember, is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. y2 in this case is negative 1 minus y1, which is 2, over x2, 4, minus x1, 5, and then we subtract. Negative 1 minus 2 is a negative 3. 4 minus 5 is a negative 1. Negative 3 divided by negative 1, m is equal to a positive 3. And I just found the slope. Alright, well let's try another one. So our positive slopes, let's try some negative. Same thing, if we're finding slope from a graph, we take our 2 points, we connect them by drawing a triangle, and then we count. We went down this time, 1, 2, 3 units. We count that as a negative 3. And then we went to the right. We went in the positive direction, 2 units. So if we did our rise over our run, in this case we rose, negative 3. We ran 2. So our m is equal to negative 3 over 2. Perfect. We're doing great. Let's keep going. Find the slope of the line that passes through 0, 6, and 5, -4. We're going to label our points, x1, y1, x2, y2, and then we're going to use our formula. Remember our formula? y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And then we plug in what we know. Our y2 is -4 minus our y1 is 6 over my x2 is 5 minus my x1, which is 0. -4 minus 6 is -10. 5 minus 0 is 5. -10 divided by 5, m is equal to a -2. Perfect. We are about halfway through. So let's continue. The next one, we're finding our slope again. So we're connecting our 2 points. In this case, my rise, I didn't rise any. So my rise is 0. And my run, I ran 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. 0 divided by 5, my slope, my m, is equal to 0. So it is possible to get a slope of 0 if that numerator, if your rise is 0. Continuing, number 6, find the slope of the line that passes through 0, 4, and -3, 4. As always, we're going to label our points. x1, y1, x2, y2. Oops, I almost made that a 1. That's a 2. And then I'm going to write down, I'm going to open that because it's in my way. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And then plug in what I know. y2 is 4 minus y1 is also 4. Over x2 is -3 minus x1 is 0. So I have 4 minus 4, which is 0. -3 minus 0 is -3. 0 divided by -3, m is equal to 0. Perfect. We are doing great. We'll do our last one. Number 7, find the slope of the line. In this case, we're rising 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, whenever you have a graph, you want to connect the 2 points that you know. In this case, it was 5. But our run, we didn't, oops, just not that. Our run was 0. Well, if you type in your calculator 5 divided by 0, it's going to give you an error. So if you ever have this where the 0 is in your denominator, your slope, your m, is going to be undefined. Undefined. So you have to write out a word for that one. That's when 0 is in your denominator. And then you have one left. Find the slope of the line that passes through. So we have an ordered pair, so we want to label it x1, y1, x2, y2. And then we want to do our subtraction. I like to write out my formula so I'm sure I'm writing it in the right spot. y2 is -2 minus y1, which is 2. x2 is 5 and x1 is 5. -2 minus 2 more is a -4. 5 minus 5 is 0. Again, I have that 0 in my denominator. So my m, my slope, is undefined. Undefined. Okay? So each time I labeled my slope as m. That's just something that we're going to use in our next unit as we're graphing. So we're just going to build that habit now. So I'm going to add that to my slope formula. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's one way to find your slope. Remember, the other way to find your slope is from a graph where we pick 2 points. Sometimes they're labeled for us, sometimes they're not. And then we draw a triangle to create our rise and our run. And that's just our slope, which remember is our steepness of our graph, or our change in y over our change in x. And that's everything we need to know right now about slopes.